High Rise is the new game from Gil Hova. It was successfully kickstarted after he retooled a little bit. He tried first with some big plastic buildings and then went back to the drawing board and got Kwanchai Moria to do this amazing art. Look at that box cover. All of the buildings look like that. And what you are is you're competing town builders trying to build up a town on this big, I guess it's sort of a rondel is the best way to think of it. The board is, you can see it there at the bottom, and there's the standees. Not normally a fan of standees, but these are amazing. Kwanchai just knocked out of the park with this art. On the board, you're going to move your mogul around to these different city zones. And when you hit the city zones, you can only go to one space in the city zone. So it's sort of, it's not worker placement, but it's sort of, you know, you're going to take that action when you get there. No one else can take that action without a special power. And each of those actions lets you do things like build stuff or get materials to build stuff or score victory points. But some of the actions are more powerful. You can always take the base action, but some of them have actions that you can get corrupted by doing it. Basically, you're bribing and you're cheating and you're stealing your way, a la a certain someone that should be coming to mind, you know, in New York real estate. I don't know if that.
Yeah, too
right?
soon. Too soon.
Too soon. So as you go around the board, you have the option of taking those stronger actions. But if you take those stronger actions, you're going to get corruption, negative points at the end of the game. Now, you can manipulate that. You can go to other spaces and get rid of corruption. But there's a penalty at the end of every round. When we come all the way around the board and you play 3 rounds in the big game, which is the one that I've been playing, when you come around the board during the 3 times, it's going to look to see who's got the most corruption. And there's going to be some penalties. You're going to have some special powers you can't use. And at the end of the game, you could lose a lot of points. It can make or break the game. But to win, you really need to use those stronger powers. You know, there was one player that we played in one of our games that said, I'm not taking any corruption. I'm just going to play it straight and try to just maximize my actions. And they just have trouble with that. You gotta live on the edge a little bit if you're going to deal in New York real estate. So that's the fun part. Managing your mogul as you go around around the rondel, and also the way, and let me show you some of the pictures, the way that the buildings just rise above as you're building the city. I mean, it is super photogenic and it feels it. The reason that you're so obsessed with trying to get those buildings is that it's the highest building in each of the zones that's going to score a little bit more points. You score points for building the building, of course. You get the special powers from where you built the building. When other people come back and land on your building, you're going to get some bonus things. It's usually getting materials for building your next building. But at the end of every round, we're also going to look to see who built the biggest buildings in each of those areas. So you kind of want to spread out a little bit, put people around, you know, get those tall buildings. And I'm always eyeing, I'm looking at what Verla and I'm looking at what Steve's doing, because I got to be one step higher. And it's got that kind of Coliseum feel to it, where the first round, you're going to be building lots of little 2s and 3s and 4s. But by that last round, look at that one. I've built an 11 with a +2 steeple on top. I think it's called a spire. And that's just so much fun when you're trying to do it. Now, why am I bringing it up tonight? Because Gil Hova, the designer and publisher with Formal Ferret Games, has a Kickstarter going on right now. That Kickstarter is to get those plastic pieces that he tried the first time. Hey, it's already 50%. At least I haven't checked it since this morning, but it was going, you know, bonzo the first couple of hours. So it's gonna fun. And now you're gonna have the choice to use those beautiful standees from Kwanchai Moria, or instead of the kind of the plain plastic pieces he had before, he took Kwanchai's art, had Daniel Newman sculpt them into plastic.
Okay.
And now look what you've got. These unique buildings that all have that futuristic look that Kwanchai is known for. The rest of the colors that you see are the typical, the different players.
Right.
And of course, he's got little markers there, because just looking at a building, you may not be able to tell if that's a 5 or a 6 or how tall they are. So this is that kind of visual reminder. But as you can see, the art is stunning. The game looks beautiful on the table. Are there some downsides? Mick and Starla, if you watch their video,
Yes.
Steve, I think you saw it. Do you remember what their basic complaints were?
No, I don't remember what their basic complaint was, but I think they said something to the effect of, was it that they were saying that it got to the end of the game and it was kind of a scramble to get some things done, and they felt like they were kind of flailing throughout, and then there was a bit of a rush. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, right. That build up to becoming really powerful in the third one. They also didn't like the fact that the 2-player game is one of those where
they did. That's
the third player is sort of a dummy player, but somebody has to control it. It's not my favorite way of doing 2-player games.
Mm-hmm.
I much rather where the third player is something that kind of takes stuff away on the board and you have to deal with that. People complain about Coimbra with 2 or 3 players. I don't at all. I think it plays great at 2 or 3. I love the fact that I can see what the dummy player is doing, and then I got to try to outmatch it, right, Verla, with Coimbra?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's really well. I know some people complain about it. It's not. This one, I'm not that much of a fan. I have not played a 2-player for that reason. It looks a lot more fun to play at a 3 or 4. So
you said
Gil.
You said you played the
Gil,
big game.
I don't want to throw it on the bus. I'm not saying the 2-player isn't good. I haven't actually played that. It just wasn't enticing to me. But go ahead, Steve.
When you said you've been playing the big game, I mean, when I looked at what Mick and Starla had posted pictures of, it was a table full of game. Is it unwieldy on the table?
Well, I've got a big table, so my dining table is big enough to fill. It filled up almost my whole dining table, though. I mean, it takes a lot of table space. What I meant by the big game is you can play it with just 2 ages, and that's kind of the introductory game. Gotcha. You can even play the kind of beginner's introduction. Let's call it the standard game. You can play the introductory game where it kind of juices everything already ready. You're right into the second round. You already have some stuff, and you're going to go right into building. I preferred that long build into the 3. Now, does it take longer? Yeah. Two of the games took probably 2.5 hours. The last one was closer to 2 hours. So that one was pretty smooth, but that was with people that knew how to play it. When I played with Oscar, it was a long one, but that was between the teach, having 2 people not as comfortable with English, me included. So I was probably one of them. So that was a little tough. I was playing with some players from Mexico. So Oscar's a Spanish content creator, and he's very popular down there. So he had a bunch of his fans that wanted to play, and I was like the 4th guy. So I probably slowed it up a little bit, and plus it's a teach too. But yeah, I saw Verla just posted the Kickstarter for the Ultra Plastic Edition. Ultra Plastic is the wild resource that you can use, which is really fun. You can use it as a wild resource, or you can use it to score more points. But this way you can get the Ultra Plastic Edition. That is high rise. I'm not going to say it's for everybody, but if you like the kind of games I like, where you like engine building games, you love, trying that Tokaido, what's the one I think, Verla, that you also like about the monks making beer?
Heaven and Ale?
Heaven and Ale.
Yes,
if you like that Tokaido Heaven and Ale mechanic where you can go grab that juicy spot, but now you're leaving people 2 or 3 actions behind you, right? And you like that mechanic, and I love that mechanic.
It's a great mechanic.
Yeah, I forget it. Martin Wallace used it in that Australia game too. So if you like that mechanic, it's really well done in High Rise. In fact, because it's based on zones rather than, imagine with Tokaido, instead of just being space. Hey, Steve, you and I played Tokaido 10 times back to back. Sure. It got to the point where we kind of knew what each other were doing.
The game almost played itself.
It felt like it, right?
Yeah, it can.
This one, because it's zones, where there's 3 or 4 actions in each zone, and you can only do one of them absent special powers, that throws a twist to that mechanic that I think refines it, makes it better. So yeah, High Rise, 2 thumbs up for me.